Yo, what up, everybody? You know what this is. This is me, Trayvon Jones, Conscious Talk Channel. Do me a favor, press that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed to my channel. Press that thumbs up and leave a comment in the comment section. So we're going to talk about this psychotic ass woman named Lanisha Henderson. This black woman who served in the military obviously has suffered some kind of mental illness of some sort because she decided that she wanted to go to Atlanta and take a can full of gasoline and start dousing it on Martin Luther King's childhood home. Now, there was people in the neighborhood, and there were people, that were driving by and they saw her. Now, you have some people who speculated and said, oh, well, maybe she's watering the grass. Now, why would anybody be doing any watering with a red container? You know what I'm saying? Red containers are for gasoline, you know. But this psychotic ass individual was taking gasoline and throwing it all over the house, attempting to burn down a national treasure. Now, this is the childhood home of Martin Luther King, y'all. Now, we all know who Martin Luther King is. Now, we have a new generation of black women in particular who have a problem with Martin Luther King. And the reason why they have a problem with Martin Luther King is because, when you dive into his history and who he is as a man, he cheated on his wife. He had, relationships with other women. And some would say that he had relationships with white women. Now, when you have the FBI spying on you, this is record that he cheated frequently. He would go out and, do his speeches. He will, say profound things. And then when he would get home or to his hotels or whatever it is, he would go out and he would have a good ass time. He'd be cheating and having sex with different women and doing all kind of ungodly things. Well, first of all, Martin Luther King was not a Christian, in my opinion. I don't believe in Christianity like that, but in my opinion, he was not a Christian. Not once in any of his speeches do you see him picking up a Bible and actually reading out of it. He just didn't do that. He was a motivational speaker. He gave you the impression that, he believed in God, But if you really want to know, he studied Gandhi, y'all. Gandhi was some skinny ass Indian dude who was racist towards black people. Didn't even like black people, but he read books on this dude. Now, Martin Luther King was trying to use a tactic that would not get us killed, that would not get us deleted as a people, because he saw who the enemy was and how they were attacking us. So he was trying to use a different tactic by saying, we are going to love them. We are going to show them that we are here for them, that we're trying to share. We don't want to have any problems. We don't want to fight. We don't want any problems. This is what he was trying to tell us as a people, to be docile. And if we be docile enough, these people are going to accept us because they're going to realize that we're not a threat to them. And we're going to hold hands and we're going to be one. But he realized that was a bunch of foolishness. He realized that shit wasn't working. He was beating a damn dead horse. He was telling us as a people to continue to be docile, but in reality, he realized that he was telling his people the wrong thing. That these people are never going to love you. They're never going to accept you. They're never going to respect you. They came and took your land and changed your identity, for God's sakes. You are a prisoner in your own land, is what he said. And I'm paraphrasing. But Martin Luther King knew that so-called black people, so-called African American people, America is their homeland. He knew this. So they hated Martin Luther King. They didn't respect him at all. They didn't respect him or love him at all until he died. And then they want to constantly repeat the "I have a dream" speech. And when black boys and white girls are going to hold hands together and we're going to just be one and everything is going to be okay. See, they keep playing that speech over and over again, but they don't play the speech where he was telling you that peasants from other countries, white peasants, were coming from other countries on boats and shit. These were the slaves that were coming over because they were slaves in their land. And they were the criminals, and they were the unwanted people, and the people that they were trying to get rid of. So they brought them all over here to America, what we call America today. So when you're dealing with these people in Chicago, when you're dealing with so-called African American, so-called black people in Chicago, and they tell you they don't want to deal with all these migrants, this is nothing new under the sun. This is something that we have always had to deal with, because those so-called African American black people in Chicago are the indigenous people of that land. They're indigenous there. A lot of them are indigenous there, and their ancestors go back generations. And that's the truth. And then you have all these different groups of people coming over and just impeding on your land and just coming in and just stepping all over you, and they coming in hostile and shit like that. So this is what Dr. Martin Luther King was talking about when he was telling his people that I think I'm over here bringing them into a burning bush, telling them the wrong thing. So he was not loved in his life. And although he was shot, he still survived. And when he got to the hospital, some maniac put a pillow over his head to finish him off. That's what they did. But can we talk about how years prior to that, some middle-aged black woman stabbed him? He was stabbed by a black woman. Now he's quote unquote fighting for black people. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be, nevertheless trying to keep us docile. But he was fighting for black people, and you had a black woman who came up and stabbed him. You see the loyalty that we have to deal with as black men? Even back then, the disloyalty was real. Even back then, we couldn't get any loyalty from our own women. But Martin Luther King was trying to teach us, in his way, but he realized what he was teaching us was wrong. And he was deleted for it. He was deleted for it. So to have someone who was a man and who was imperfect, and was a human being, and he did human being things. No, he wasn't perfect. But you would have a lot of generation today, a lot of our women of this generation who disrespect him and don't see the respect or the value in him. And they just totally disrespect him because the first thing they'll say is, well, he didn't respect his wife. He did all these great things, but he ain't no good man because he didn't respect his wife. Yet Coretta Scott King stayed with Martin Luther King. She didn't go nowhere. She stayed with this man. Now we can argue where was she gonna go? What was she gonna do? All this and that. But the reality is she loved that man and she wasn't going nowhere. His good outweighed his bad, obviously. But you'll have some hater ass women who will say that he was just a horrible, terrible ass man. And the hatred for black men is at an all-time high. It is just at an all-time high. So you can't tell me that this black woman, this Henderson bitch, did not set Martin Luther King's house on fire out of just pure hatred. You can call it psychotic, that she was crazy, she was mental, she had a mental breakdown, all that fake ass bullshit. But the reality is, although she's mental, we know that. But a lot of it stems from the fact that she hates black men. And that is just the bottom line. That's where that shit came from. Because she was setting this man's childhood house on fire. This is a monument. This building. This house. His childhood house. You know, they don't even want to open it. You know, you can't even go on the inside. You can see it from the outside. But she could have damaged this home and set it ablaze and where it would never be heard from ever again. And it would be someone who looked like us that would have done it. That's the disloyalty that a lot of us black men are running away from. That type of disloyal ass shit. Now, this house stood through all the riots, through all the problems that we've been going through with the racism and shit like that. And you get some Keisha, you get some black chick that want to just start dousing fucking gasoline all over the house like that. That's some sick ass shit. That's sick and it's psychotic. And I'm glad that she was arrested. You know, her family came out there and said, well, she's been missing for some days and, and she had a nervous, a mental breakdown and all that bullshit, giving her all these damn excuses. But the reality is, a lot of that stems from black man hatred. Let's just keep it real. And that's the bottom line. Black man hatred. And it's real. And we need to recognize that a lot of these women today in America are on some evil, hateful ass shit when it comes to black men. And this is the reason why a lot of us have to separate ourselves from this foolishness. Because we don't deserve this type of madness. You know, his house been standing up. His childhood home been standing up for all these years. And then you get some black woman who decided that she want to douse gasoline all over it. That's crazy as hell to me, yo. That's just crazy. But I'm glad that she was apprehended. I'm glad that she was caught. But, she probably going to go to the psychiatric ward and they going to just make it like she's psychotic and shit, like kind of like how the woman who stabbed Martin Luther King back in the day, how she didn't go to prison for stabbing him. She didn't go to prison at all. She ended up in a psychiatric facility, and then when she got old, she ended up in a nursing home. I can't tell you as a nurse how many people that I have taken care of that when you read their history and their charts, they have done horrible things that have led them to whatever the position that they are in. But they were handed, they were handled with kid gloves. I remember taking care of this old perverted ass white dude He was an old man and he was out of his damn mind, but he used to always touch and feel on the women all the time. That was his thing. He just loved feeling on the other residents and, and shit like that. And he was just sick. But come to find out, this man was over here, had molested his daughter, and when he was younger, he was a whole police officer. You know what I'm saying? And he ended up in a psychiatric facility, and then from there, he ended up in a convalescent hospital. That's some shit that be really going on, y'all. That's some shit that really be going on. Instead of going to prison where you belong, they just, send you to a psych facility, lock you up in a psych facility where you get, treated, halfway, good, I guess. You know what I'm saying? You're not in prison. I mean, you're in a locked facility, but, wow. Anyway, tell me what you think about this psychotic ass woman, this Henderson chick who decided to try to set Martin Luther King's childhood home on fire by dousing gasoline all over it. Tell me what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. Press that thumbs up, and I'm going to see you all on the next video. Peace out.